U.S. policy towards Latin America has not been driven by what should be U.S. concerns about the region and what should be the Latin American priorities, but rather it has been driven in many occasions by domestic politics, and particularly by the state of Florida. Florida was until recently the most significant swing state with the largest number of electoral votes that were not predetermined, meaning sometimes they will be won by Democrats, sometimes they will be won by Republicans. That made the Florida vote a particularly significant component of any strategic calculations by US leaders. And that meant that catering to the Florida voters was paramount. Now, I would argue that Florida has ceased to be a swing state. Trump won it by 400,000 votes in 2020. So it seems to me that this concern should be left aside. In the United States, and particularly Democratic presidents, should start to focus on the needs of Latin America and the priorities of Latin America and how they can be combined with those of the United States, rather than catering exclusively to the priorities of Florida voters.
What do you think about the state of China-US relations, and how would Latin America countries would be able to tread the line that would make you have the best benefits?
The way forward is by following a certain approach, an approach that I and two colleagues of mine, Carlos Fortin and Carlos Ominami, have referred to in a recent book as active non-alignment. What we call is for a policy in which Latin American countries do not take sides. It is not a defensive position, but rather it is an assertive position that realizes that we live today in a very different world, one in which the global South has taken a preeminent role in world affairs, one in which the old diplomacy, the cahier de doléances of the old third world, asking for massive transfers of resources from the north to the south, is obsolete. Today, we have what has been called collective financial statecraft, in which you have banks like the Asian Investment Infrastructure Bank, based in Beijing, the New Development Bank, based in Shanghai, which are able to provide funds, they're able to provide loans to the countries of the global south. We have entities like the BRICS. There are some very interesting developments. Argentina, I read, may join the BRICS. Indonesia may join it as well. So we have a new south, and in those terms, this policy of active non-alignment, it seems to me, opens enormous possibilities.
What I would say again is that the United States during the last few years also has not had a very consistent policy. We saw during the Trump years this manifestation of the America First, a very self-centered agenda that basically had very little impact in the rest of the region, if not for the extremely hostile policy that the Trump administration deployed vis-a-vis Venezuela, for instance, imposing sanctions and promoting regime change. But for the rest of the region, the United States was pretty much absent. And now, under a democratic administration, there is this attempt, if you will, to reach out to the region, but again, with very little credibility, given the inconsistencies of the past.